Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching PlainSpeak with me, Shivani Gupta. Sonia Gandhi was questioned today for a second time in the National Herald scam probe, and her questioning has now ended after 6 hours. None other than son and co-accused Rahul Gandhi led the party protest one more time, performing a sit-in dharna today and being detained eventually. Every time the question of the Gandhis' questioning comes up, the Congress says they have nothing to hide and will face all questions. Yet every time the Gandhis go for questioning, there is a protest drama on the streets. Just when you thought that thankfully at least this time around there was no arson or open vandalism, came the news of a bike being set on fire outside ED office in Delhi. What is the message being sent from all of these protests? That the Gandhis are above questioning? After all, when other Congress leaders were questioned in this very matter, there were no such protests. So is it about vindictive agencies working at the behest of the central government or the person concerned? In other words, is it about the principle or the person? In Congress, there is no denying of the stature that the Gandhis enjoy. But is the party benefiting from such protests or actually cheesing people off? Why protest a probe? What heavens have fallen? It's just the first time that they've been even questioned. People in public life are accountable. Are Gandhis any different? That's the big question we asked today. With Congress protesting this probe just at this stage, the fact that the Gandhis are being questioned on someone's complaint, what's the message being sent to the larger public? But first, here is what happened today with arson being witnessed once again.
Arguments are ongoing between the police officials and the MPs who are present here. They wanted to go to the president to give them the memorandum.
ये हमें यहाँ बैठने नहीं दे रहे अंदर बात नहीं करी जा रही है, डिस्कशन नहीं अलाउड है और यहाँ पे हमसे अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं।
क्या कांग्रेस का भारत की जांच एजेंसियों में विश्वास खत्म हो गया है? क्या कांग्रेस का भारत के संवैधानिक पदों पर बैठे हुए लोगों के ऊपर विश्वास खत्म हो गया है? क्या कांग्रेस को लगता है कि गांधी परिवार के लिए अलग से कानून बनना चाहिए? क्या कांग्रेस को ये लगता है कि गांधी परिवार से जांच करनी भी गुनाह है?
First up, getting you some details of today's questioning. As I mentioned, it was a total of 6 hours of questioning today. 35 questions have been asked. So in total, that makes it 55 questions that have been posed to Sonia Gandhi so far. But the big update that we're also getting is that she has been called again for questioning tomorrow. My colleague Ashish Mehrishi continues to keep a close watch on these proceedings. Ashish, what more are you picking up from the agencies? Exactly, how much more time do they need with Sonia Gandhi's questioning?
So it's very difficult to say how much time more would be required. But one thing that we can confirm is that my sources in the Enforcement Directorate tell me that Sonia Gandhi has to appear tomorrow as well. So the questioning as of now is not completed. Obviously, it's taking some time. She is not keeping well. So the Enforcement Directorate officials are also moving a little slow. Till now, what we have heard is that around 55 questions have been asked. Now, these 55 questions, today 35 questions were asked. In the first phase, around 20 questions were asked. As far as the line of questioning goes, I've spoken to my sources in the Enforcement Directorate, and they tell me that it's nearly the same, as the questions were put forth to Rahul Gandhi.
Right.
Now, what is the Enforcement Directorate looking at? The Enforcement Directorate is basically looking at two things. One is the money trail, the money that started from West Bengal, Kolkata, through a shell company named Dotex. From there, it landed into Young Indian. And with, that company, being held by a person who was basically known for providing hawala entries through Kolkata-based shell companies. He was basically controlling that company.
Right.
Further, with that, with some money, around 50 lakh rupees only of the young Indian, they acquired debt of more than 90 crores. That was on the head of Associated General. And with the debt also came in assets worth more than 2,000 crore rupees. So finally, they are looking at the money trail and the end beneficiary. So as far as my sources in the Enforcement Directorate tell me is that Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have basically kept similar line of answering as well.
Ashish, I was going to ask you exactly this question. When Rahul Gandhi was being questioned for successive days, the sense that we were picking up from the agencies and you were bringing this to us was that there was a lot of evasion going on. What's the sense that you're picking up with Sonia Gandhi's questioning?
So here again, Rahul Gandhi was basically running a little safe at that point in time, and there is no harm. Reason being that any statement under Prevention of Money Laundering Act is basically admissible in the court of law as evidence. So he was basically changing his answers. He was shifting paragraphs, shifting lines, changing words. All this was being done, and that is why it was taking a lot of time. But here Sonia Gandhi is precise, but she's keeping, my sources tell me, the answers are nearly the same as what Rahul Gandhi has said.
Okay.
The company basically, if you see Young Indian, the plea that Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are taking is that this is a Section 25 company. A Section 25 company under the Companies Act is basically something like an NGO. So you don't prepare a profit and loss account in this. You prepare an income and expenditure account, which actually means that, you can't derive anybody who holds equity or holds, if there is any director, you can't derive any benefit out of that company.
Yes, absolutely.
That is the plea that
so we'll leave it at that.
So
Ashish, we'll see how the questioning now goes on forward. I do thank you for bringing us the details from today's 6 hours grilling.